Welcome to the Star Trek Critic, where each episode is graded like a school project, starting with 100 points, subtracting 1 point for each error, while I make snarky commentary all the way through, and we will see what the final score is. Today is one of those episodes where they had an idea, but at the end of the show you wonder just what the heck was really going on, and that one is time squared. So the first point is lost for a bad plot, and 1 point lost for that Rats in a Maze episode because I hate them. Another point lost for really bad sensors on the door. It obviously doesn't like women or Klingons. Minus 1 point for visible light and boom might in the reflection. The bridge officers are invited to try Riker's omelets because they have to. It's called kissing up to the boss. Minus 1 point for the second highest ranking officer on the ship not having his own kitchen. Hot plates are fire hazards. This must be one of those socialist concepts where no one has a kitchen. Dr. Pulaski says mankind. That's sexist. How did Riker never know his father hooked up with Dr. Pulaski? And he never knew his mother. What if? Makes you wonder. Worf says in human families the woman shares in the cooking, not does the cooking. He said that so progressives in the future wouldn't freak out. These are not omelets, and he did not use a no-stick frying pan. This is the only photo I could find of an O1, and just like this episode, some people hate it, but some people like it. Riker performs the Picard maneuver. This comment proves shuttlecraft really don't travel that far. They alert Shuttle Bay to after they capture the shuttle instead of before, so minus 1 point. Minus 1 point for Diana Muldaur not being listed as a regular. Minus 1 point for Wesley not being in the show. Where is this tractor being coming from? So minus 1 more point. This is a very elaborate scene where they're bringing in the shuttle by tractor, but they're probably thinking, why didn't they call us as soon as they saw it? Jean-Luc performs the Picard maneuver. Minus 1 point for them taking way too long to figure out that it's the same L boss as the one right next to it. Minus 1 point for opening credits 6 minutes into the show. They're all like, hey, it's the captain. Picard says, no, it's the left fielder. This is bad English. You should say, there are no signs of trauma.
Is he injured?
I can't say.
You can tell me I'm a doctor.
Deanna finally confesses her love for Captain Picard. This is why she follows him around all the way through the show. And why does she say she's standing next to him instead of in front of him? Data says number 1. They should really analyze the damage more before making a conclusion like this. Picard wants Data to get some firewood. Minus 1 point for a single set of doors on the turbolift. Minus 1 point for not looking around before they take off. Minus 1 point for black squares on the back panels that still don't block the glare. Meanwhile, down in the shuttle bay, that's what she said. Now Geordi has a moment with Data, and they discuss their relationship together. As you can see, Deanna follows Picard around the entire show, secretly thinking when this one revives, she can do a Picard threesome. Now she tries to see if Picard can read her thoughts. After the explosion, they discover the shuttle is from 6 hours in the future. Minus 1 point for the captain's log talking down to the audience like we forgot everything during the commercials. And minus 1 point for repeating the same lines that we heard right before the commercial break. Look closely at the pointy triangles in the background. All of a sudden, they disappear and then reappear, so minus 1 point. Captain Picard now thinks he's from Missouri. Riker is in this video. Geordi shows the video taken from the shuttlecraft where everybody is going to die. They all seem a little surprised that Picard is off the ship while the Enterprise was destroyed, and Worf says, damn straight, if we die, you're gonna go down with us. Geordi suggests stopping to change the future, but both Picard and Riker have this fatalistic view of the universe, so say, we are going to plow forward even if it kills us all. Worf again mentions the Klingon story like he did when they encountered Nagilum, and they ignore him again. Maybe they should start studying those Klingon ghost stories. Now Picard sings his favorite song from American Tail. Riker wants to meet this disaster head-on because secretly he wants to be promoted. Dr. Pulaski explains that this Captain Picard is waiting for the end of the show to be more coherent. Minus 1 point here. The whole purpose of this scene is to make Deanna look like she's having an orgasm to boost ratings. Minus 1 point for recording the captain's log without a start date 2 hours before they might get destroyed, and all that's left is a captain's log. Picard leaves the bridge. Deanna suddenly goes right after, so no one will think they're leaving together to do the nasty. Picard is now talking to himself. Picard blames all of this on the second baseman. Then he asks if the left fielder left the ship. See, Deanna keeps following Picard around all day. Again, he admits being afraid of the second baseman, and the left fielder left the ship. One day I hope to have a complete Star Trek Who's on First episode. Kate says, I know you're here just because you want to have a threesome with 2 Picards and use that as leverage over your ex-boyfriend who jumps everything that moves. Deanna says, that's not true, and how come you don't know his dad can't cook? Kate says, that's because it's not in the script until next week that I knew him 20 years ago. Then Deanna says, that was still 20 years ago, so you should already know. Then Kate says, actually, I'm hoping next week I can get both of them in the sack at the same time, then use that as leverage over the ship's counselor. Then Deanna says, there's no way you can do that, this show is family friendly. While the new Picard is laying there on the stretcher thinking, there's no way I'm going to tell them I'm coherent now. They might stop bickering and then I'll miss a good cat fight. The shuttle bay door opens, an alien in shadow approaches, but it's really just Picard. Aww. Jean-Luc is so upset he does not perform the Picard maneuver. Aww. Riker and Picard have a man moment. Picard says, Will, do you really think Deanna is serious about what the narrator thinks she's up to? Will says, it's like the narrator knows more about us than the scriptwriters. Why does he keep saying Dr. Pulaski knew my dad? Could she be my long-lost mother? Picard is concerned about the future. Riker says, Captain, don't panic. If you leave the ship and we survive the next time, I will become captain. It is a win-win situation for me either way. Then Picard says, how does that help me? Picard's like, so you're saying I should just sit down, shut up, and wait? And Riker's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Riker is right in step behind Captain Picard. He's such an ass kisser. -1 point for another captain's log talking down to the audience. They don't have time for a captain's log, and there's something is just like what Worf described when they weren't listening to him. Look closely. First, Geordi says the warp engines are keeping them in place. He does not say they are at warp speed. Deanna asks Riker what he thinks. Then Picard asks Riker what he thinks. Riker says, I think we're being probed. Deanna says it wants to know if we're the vampires from Life Force. Picard says, I'm trying to forget I was in that movie. Picard has suddenly become indecisive. Riker's no help, he just agrees with him all the time. Geordi says, I number 2 and 3. -1 point here. It would be impossible to create a static warp bubble to travel through while trapped in this funnel. They would have fallen through the whole thing. Geordi needs to go to the bathroom really bad. Worf says, I number 4. This is where they get to do the earthquake in space dance. Dr. Pulaski tells Worf to arm the photons. I don't think it wants them to arm the photons. Check this out. It's Riker that says Picard is the target. Is he suggesting he get in that shuttlecraft so Riker can take over the ship? Geordi can't hold it any longer. He's going to pee his pants on the bridge. Now Deanna says he should leave the ship. Both of them are in on this one. Look closely. Picard leaves the bridge. Riker and Deanna are still there. Deanna is already in sickbay, so -1 more point. And there's too much hair on Picard's double, so -1 more point. This Picard says I love you. This Picard says I know. And now Picard starts to sing his favorite Harry Belafonte song. There is never an explanation of where this Picard came from. Was it created by the vortex, or was it really Picard sent from the future? We never find out, so -1 point. The other option is to go straight through so the vortex can eat the Enterprise. -1 point for having unlocked phasers in the shuttle bay. Shooting the other Picard was just for drama. It was a total waste of time, so -1 point. -1 point for bouncing turbolift doors. After he performs the Picard maneuver, I have to take a point for going all the way to the bridge to give the order to go through instead of from the shuttle bay. That's a waste of valuable time. Picard says, LaForge, I want all the power you can muster, mister. Just like what Kirk said to Scotty in Star Trek V. More bad English. Everyone is singular. There is plural. They go through the vortex. Everything is back to normal, and nobody understands what the heck was all that about. Data says stand down from red alert. I thought that was Picard's job. Picard puts Riker in charge of the bridge so he can go stare out a window. Riker leaves the bridge. Who did he put in charge? -1 point for this episode ending with just way too many loose ends. What was the vortex? Did it create the other Picard? Did it destroy the other Enterprise? We never really find out. Then Riker says he'll be on the bridge like he was supposed to be to begin with. Time squared. One of those filler episodes that just has way too many loose ends gets a score of 71%. Thanks for viewing. Be sure to leave comments below. Click that like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and I'll see you again real soon.